This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code DETROIT to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in on a Monday to the Monday Mashup, brought to you by Detroit Sports Podcast. Shea Kevin McCann, your hosts, and we have just a ton of stuff to get to. Bowl games are out. Big day in the NFL. My Patriots showed that they are no longer the Patriots. And,
they got you feeling like a Lions fan today, those refs did.
There was a little help from the refs in this, but they certainly don't feel like the Patriots anymore. And there's just a ton to talk about in the NBA, including one guy you may not have heard of. It goes by the name of Davis Bertans. Before we get to that, I got to tell you about the DFS Doctors, our newest partner with Detroit Sports Podcast. If you play FanDuel and you feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups, the DFS Doctors are here to help. You can find them on Twitter if you head to @the_DFS_Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports. They will give you a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate for NFL and NBA lineups. Head on over to the DFS Doctors if you're playing daily fantasy and you suck at it, which most of us do. If we're honest, these guys, 70% lifetime profit rate, NFL and NBA lineups. The DFS Doctors, all you got to do, DM them on Twitter, promo code Detroit Sports, and they're going to help you out.
As a guy who got a lot of 70% in school, I can say it'll get you by.
C's get degrees,
as they say. 70% is a Hall of Famer in baseball.
All right, let's get into it, because Michigan State is headed to the Pinstripe Bowl, which, if you know anything about bowl games, despite the fact that it takes place in glitzy New York City, it is anything...
the Bronx, all right. Not very glitzy.
Well, no, and not if you listen to what Mark D'Antonio has to say, because I want to get into his quote right away. We were going to make whatever experience we had an opportunity to make a great experience for our student athletes, for our players, regardless which bowl game we went to. We were going to embrace that and move forward. I think the main thing is what makes everybody happy is when you win the bowl game. We've been to California. We put our guys on the coast and let them walk into the Pacific, which a lot of guys have never done. Now we'll have an opportunity to take our football team to New York City, and a lot of our guys have never been to New York City. So a lot of our guys are going to remember this for the rest of their life, and I think those are the type of things that when you're in these bowl games, I think you have to bring that forward as well. So that'll be a great experience.
Cool.
Have fun in New York.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, nothing like stepping in the Pacific.
I tell you.
What a life-changing experience it is to put your feet in salt water.
There's nothing better than spending your Christmas vacation from school with the football team on 28-degree weather, playing in a blizzard in Yankee Stadium
Gotta earn those pinstripes.
against a Wake Forest team on their backup quarterback. Nothing better.
Do you think they'll wear the cool green uniforms they have?
The neon
Those are
ones,
so cool.
with stayed across the
Awesome.
chest.
Those are sick.
What a wonderful experience it's going to be for these kids to take their program win hats, celebrating a 6-6 season, to the Bronx to take on Wake Forest in the Pinstripe Bowl.
Shout out BX gang. What's good? I don't want to go to the Bronx in January, especially, or December, whatever it is. I definitely don't want to go to the Bronx to play Wake Forest. I don't have a whole lot else to say about the Pinstripe Bowl. I thought Syracuse had to go. I didn't know there was a thing where they could have a Pinstripe Bowl and Syracuse wasn't there.
It does seem like they're in it every single year, doesn't it?
Isn't it Syracuse Northwestern? I just thought it was a thing they did.
Was the Syracuse Notre Dame game, was that the Pinstripe Bowl, or was that just at
No, I'm
Yankee
almost
Stadium?
certain that Syracuse goes to the Pinstripe Bowl by default every year.
They didn't win 6 games this year, I don't think, so that would be an issue.
There it is.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about the Pinstripe Bowl. I don't
Sure
think
don't.
I would be shocked if the players are going to be writing home about it, celebrating what a great experience they had going to New York City.
I went to a bodega. It was cool. Great.
And the game's in December 27th, so like you're not even going to be in town to watch the ball drop.
Nope. Not that you'd want to.
There's nothing good. Nothing good comes out of this. You get to go to New York, have fun.
I mean, Christmas Day, like, is it nice? I don't know. I feel like Christmas Day in New York is very commercial.
I feel like if you're spending Christmas Day with Mark D'Antonio, it's probably no offense to the D'Antonio family, but
Hey now.
I got to tell you where I'm at right now with this guy.
Doesn't seem like the holiday cheer type of dude.
It's just grimacing at you while you're opening your gifts.
Humbug.
Find me another program, and this is the last I'll talk about Michigan State football, hopefully for the rest of this year. Find me another program that could go 4 years removed from the college football playoff to the Pinstripe Bowl and keep all of their coaches employed.
And have those coaches telling you that this is a positive experience for the program.
So this is a great experience for our players.
I mean,
That just tells you everything you need to know.
that's great.
What a disappointment.
Enjoy that gift room because it's the only cool thing you're going to get while you're in New York, guys.
They're going to have 6 kids at the spring game. 6!
I will not be one of them.
Michigan, on the other hand, got to the most prestigious non-New Year's Six bowl game. The highest per team.
It is on New Year's, though.
Yeah. The highest per team payout of any non-New Year's Six bowl game.
I, for one, am shocked.
They got the reward despite, Penn State being better than them.
Well, Penn State is going to the Cotton Bowl, right? Or something? Yeah, Cotton Bowl.
Oh, Penn State got a New Year's Six?
No, well, theirs on December 28th, and I'm not sure how that works, but it is the Cotton Bowl.
I feel like that's a New Year's Six bowl,
It
right?
is. Yeah, it's a New Year's 6, but it's on December 28th.
They got to figure out how to define these bowls.
Doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, Michigan got this incredible bowl game despite going 9-3, and as a gift for giving them this great bowl game, they get to play Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Have fun, Harbaugh. 1-4 in bowl games. I'm putting
Roll
it in
Tide.
pen. I am putting it in pen.
Big wheels keep on turning.
This is the one team, like they could have seen any other team that missed a New Year's Six bowl, and like Auburn. They could have seen Auburn. Auburn's got nothing to play for. Gus Malzahn might get fired.
Indiana's playing Tennessee in the Gator Bowl.
I mean, you could have gotten
seen Tennessee.
You could have gotten anybody that you could have just beaten, but instead, you get the one team with the one coach who hates you,
Despises.
hates Michigan, hates Harbaugh,
Especially Harbaugh.
and he's gonna have Mac Jones run that fucking score up
Can't wait.
because Josh Uche already declared he's going into the NFL draft. I don't think he's gonna play. Big problem if you're Michigan.
I wouldn't. Jerry Judy. I mean, like the Michigan DBs are solid, but Jerry Judy, these other guys, these are the best receiving core. Like for all that LSU has been made of their receivers, and Ohio State has been made of their receivers. Alabama's got 2 first-round receivers.
Yep.
Like they're insane offensively. They just put up 40 plus on Auburn with their backup quarterback.
And other than that, I mean, you run through some of the bowl games, and we'll get back to some of the Michigan stuff in a minute.
There
but
are some fun ones
The
here.
bowl games that have been confirmed are insane.
I'm sorry. I did not realize that Florida State could make a bowl game this year when they fired their coach, like week whatever that was.
Is that Florida State and Arizona State?
In the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas.
Holy mercy.
I mean, that's a good one. That's that appointment viewing without question to watch Alex Hornibrook. No doubt about it.
Arizona State started like 5-1 or 5-2 or something too, and then just fell off a cliff.
Is Kentucky not on their third quarterback also? They're in a bowl game against Virginia Tech.
Who wants to? This is the thing when we talk about playoff expansion, and I know it's not like this year it just happened to work out perfectly that there's no argument for expanding the playoff because we just clearly have 4 better teams than everyone else. But this is what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a bunch of playoff games between teams who don't deserve to be there. Like LSU, Wisconsin, if you expand to 8, no thanks.
No, I'm good. Don't need to see that.
Don't need it at all.
Like there are some though, like Utah against Texas on New Year's Eve in the Alamo Bowl.
The up-and-comer versus the old head. I
don't even know what to make of that game. Like, Texas is going to win, and then everybody's going to be like, see, Texas was good. LSU's win was better. Like, blah, blah. No, I just think Utah probably wasn't that freaking good all year.
So Utah gets to play Texas, Texas wins, and then Sam Ellinger gets to stand up and hold the trophy and say, Longhorn Nation, we're back.
Look what they did to Utah, though. Like, Utah loses a Pac-12 championship game. If they win that, they're going to the playoff, and they lose, and they got to play Texas in San Antonio.
Yeah, how did they not get a New Year's Six bowl?
That's not fair to Utah.
That's bullshit now that I think about it.
Like, yeah, like Oregon gets the automatic bid to the Rose Bowl, fair, whatever. But come on.
Bowl assignments are stupid.
You're going to put them against Texas in San Antonio? That's not fair to Utah.
Where's Auburn?
They are playing Minnesota somewhere. Outback Bowl in Tampa. Fair. Neutral site, somewhat.
Boy, they're going to run.
Auburn's got more people, but
they're
somewhat
going
neutral
to wipe Minnesota.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Oh, boy. Penn State ended up in the, what did you say?
Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. Who do they get? Is that an SEC team, Georgia?
No, it's Memphis, winner of the AAC.
That's actually an
Who
interesting
will be
game.
Playing without, I don't know if he's going to coach that game, Norvell.
Yeah, so Mike Norvell went to Florida State to be their head coach.
I mean, that made me so sad.
Florida State's like or can we call them a brand name for football?
They won the national championship like 4 years ago.
I know, but Michigan State was in the college football playoff.
But they won the national championship. But they won the national championship and followed it up with a college football playoff appearance. They had a Heisman Trophy winner and a bunch of first-round guys. And yes, since Jimbo Fisher has gone, it has fallen off a cliff. But it has not been like he's been gone forever. Like, Willie Taggart has made it pretty damn bad. Bad enough to the point that the best they could do was Mike Norvell. I thought it was going to be primetime. I at least would have watched. I'll tell you this. I'm not watching Florida State's home opener unless they're playing somebody amazing that I don't know about.
3 national finalists since 1996.
Right. But if Deion were coaching that team, I'd have watched their home opener. You bet your ass I'd be tuning in to watch primetime. It would have been a disaster, but I'd have watched.
So, yeah, the coaching movement has started because Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss as well.
Can't wait.
I'm really excited.
Can't wait.
Lane Kiffin, at this point, should set a goal to coach at every SEC school.
I mean, I'm excited for the season. I'm more excited to see who the coordinators are going to be.
I'm really excited to see. And I said this before we got on to record, but can you imagine if the Lions fire Matt Patricia and he goes to be Lane Kiffin's defensive coordinator at Ole Miss?
It would be pretty awesome. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he'd fall that far. But there's got to be just a name out there that Lane Kiffin's going to pull in on that staff. And everybody's going to be like, wait, what? Like, Matt Barkley, quarterbacks coach? What's happening? What's going on in Oxford? It's going to be good. I won't be shocked if he retains Matt Luke as a D coordinator.
That
wouldn't be shocked
terrible.
one bit.
If he retains Rich Rod, that'd be even funnier almost. It would be incredibly funny.
It'd be something.
Who did he have in his years at USC? Who were his coordinators?
Clay Helton and Coach O.
So no,
can't get either of them.
Man, it would be lovely if he could get Coach O, but that's too bad.
Don't think so.
I mean,
Coach O's going to win a national championship probably. Get a statue in Baton Rouge for Coach O. That's awesome.
They were talking on the broadcast the other day on the SEC championship game that Coach O has a plan in place to retain Joe Brady. Whatever that plan might be.
That plan just millions of dollars?
Yeah, throw $1.5 million to keep him on.
I don't know what the big booster, who the big booster is at LSU, but I'm sure that's the plan to keep Joe Brady.
$1.5 million for
because if you think if Arkansas is not trying to get Joe Brady right now, I don't know what the hell they're doing.
There should be 129 FBS schools that are trying to get Joe Brady.
A lot of teams going after Joe Brady.
All right, so then the other coaching changes. Jim Harbaugh right now is the odds-on favorite to go coach the Carolina Panthers.
It's a little surprising to me. I don't know a whole lot about David Tepper. David Tepper?
This is
Whatever, Tepper.
This is the thing they do every year, though, where it's like Harbaugh again disappoints and NFL jobs open, and no matter what NFL job it is, this is where Jim Harbaugh is going to go. Like, as soon as Anthony Lynn gets fired, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be the odds-on favorite for the Chargers.
That's the one that I would point to right away, because it makes sense, because Phillip Rivers is probably done. He has a chance to come in with one. Not that Cam Newton isn't, but at least Cam Newton is under contract. Phillip Rivers is not under contract. So, and in Carolina, yes, they have a good defense, Luke Kuechly, whatever. They don't have those guys that they got in San Francisco.
Right.
God, I'm going to do it every time, that they don't have in Los Angeles. But having the chance to go in, get your quarterback. Now,
they might pick in Tua range, too.
I'm just saying, Dean Spanos does not. Is it Dean Spanos? Dean Spanos does not strike me as a Jim Harbaugh guy. That seems like just a firebomb waiting to happen.
But Spanos also got bulldozed by Jerry Jones and Kroenke to move to LA in
Absolutely
the first place.
True.
So he could be a bit of a doormat for it.
He's also cheap.
Well, okay, see, that's the part where you're going to struggle.
It's going to take a little bit to get Jim Harbaugh out of Ann Arbor, because somebody's going to have to pay that buyout.
You know he gets another raise.
Does he get, what is it, for 10 wins and whatever?
No, it's not even an incentivized
it's just
raise.
a scheduled
it's just
raise?
in his contract, a scheduled raise, like 10% or 20% or something.
Here's an extra couple million to get blown out by Alabama again. Oh, my God. I love college football coaching contracts. They're amazing.
He has a scheduled raise.
Those agents are outstanding.
He has a deal where they will pay his health insurance premium for the next
Use of a private jet for the rest of his
10
life.
to 15 years. They have there's all sorts of stuff where, like, the incentives are insane, and there's some that are, I can't remember the one that's like he doesn't even have to perform that well, and he still gets a bonus as an incentive. His contract.
Oh, it's not his, though. These college football coaching contracts are crazy.
Well, and Michigan's notorious for it.
Of
Michigan's
course.
Notorious for,
they got a bunch of money.
Like, I think even in Brady Hoke's deal, there was something like, we will pay your health insurance for the rest of your life.
I mean, some of these that they work out, Saban had it scheduled that any time a coach salary exceeds his, he gets a raise to exceed that coach's salary. That, I don't know if that's still in his contract, but when they were winning 4 in a row, or whatever, they had 3 out of 4, whatever the hell it was, he had a clause that was like, I get to be the highest paid coach in college at all times. I think Jimmy Sexton is the agent for most of these guys, right? He's got to just be an animal in the negotiation room, because I don't understand how he gets away with all this. Maybe he just has every university over a barrel and can do whatever he wants, but it's insane, these college coaching contracts. Absolutely insane. And it's even to the point that, like, they're firing guys like Willie Taggart, even though they know they're going to have to pay him for the next however many years.
So if he's fired on January 10th, 2020...
he's not getting fired.
No, but I'm just looking at, if Michigan fires Jim Harbaugh without cause before the end of his 7-year deal, he's owed the annual base salary for additional compensation for the remainder of the term. So his contract runs from January 11th to January 10th. So if he's fired on or before 2020, he's owed $10 million. If he's fired after January 10th, 2021, he's owed $5 million. They're not going to fire him at any point in time. He's got a bunch of bonuses in here.
I wonder what Coach D's firing clause looks like.
$2 million per year raise in 2016 was added into the contract.
Must be nice. Must be nice. I don't. The Mike Norvell, I mean, backtracking for a second, made me sad because it made me realize that Michigan State can't get anybody.
Yeah, if Florida State's settling for Mike Norvell, who, good coach, but not a brand name coming out of Memphis. No. Which,
not to say he won't have success in Tallahassee.
Because part of the thing that I've been saying is you got to make a coach. Like, you can't always just go find a guy who exists as a great coach and hope it works. You have to go, like Sean McVay was found. And they made Sean McVay because he was good. So if Norvell ends up being good, then Florida State has made a coach. Mark D'Antonio was made as a coach at Michigan State. And that was like, well, he might go coach at Texas now. And that never happens if he never does what he did at Michigan State. So, like, I'm not big on the idea of we have to go and get Ed Orgeron. You don't have to go get that guy. You got to go find somebody and let them become that guy.
So my thing, like, when I sat and thought about it, because I part of this is regional. Like, he was from Arkansas and Tulsa and wherever the hell he was before. I said to you yesterday when he got hired, today is the first day I've ever heard Mike Norvell's name.
Yeah.
And he was doing a great job at Memphis. I just wasn't paying attention to whatever the hell was going on at Memphis. the thing for me is when I look around, like, okay, who are the candidates if they get rid of Coach D? Like
Luke Fickell.
If you want the younger guy. Jim McElwain did an okay job at Central. You could go get him, I suppose. Who else are you like? You're not going to get Graham Harrell from USC because he's not going to move from LA to come coach at Michigan State.
And retaining Clay Helton, I don't think he moves anywhere.
I wouldn't. And I just, the list is really thin, and it really isn't good.
I mean, it's like Chris Creighton at Michigan State or at Eastern Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Luke Fickell. It's
like maybe a fired NFL coach.
Yeah. Do you want to throw a bag at Matt Rule? But
Peter Schrager this morning on whatever football show that he do before the one with Strahan comes on, the one with Coward and Mike Vick. I don't even know what it's called. It's on Fox. Was saying Rule's going to get. He interviewed for NFL jobs last year, and he's going to get an NFL interview this year. So Matt Rule could be way beyond Michigan State at this point.
I mean, that seems like a jump to go from Baylor to the NFL.
I would think, but he's a disciple. He's a Parcells disciple. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that'll do it.
Yeah.
There just doesn't seem to be like Lane Kiffin was a name, but now he's at Ole Miss, and he was never going to choose Michigan over with Mississippi or Alabama.
The air
or
around Michigan State over the last couple of years, you can't hire Lane Kiffin. True. And it's not because he's not a good football coach. It's because he's Lane Kiffin.
True. The Jim McElwain stuff, I feel like somebody is going to throw a bag at him because of what he did at Central. Which
I'm not even sure it would take a big bag at this point.
It should be. What he did at Central was incredible.
I was surprised he didn't get a look at Florida State.
I think whoever pays him is going to be making a mistake.
Yeah, probably. I mean, depending on how much you have to pay him and what your expectation of what he's going to bring you is. At Michigan State, I'm looking for a guy who can do what Harbaugh is doing at Michigan.
Correct.
Win 10 games every now and then. Like, have a chance to win 10 games every year and every now and then beat your rivals.
And go to a Big Ten title every few years.
You don't have to beat Michigan every single year. I don't expect you to beat Michigan every single year.
I'm also not asking you to be Ohio State.
Ever. But if you beat them, that's great.
I want to compete.
Yeah. I don't want to get blown out by those teams. And yeah, I want a trip to Indy every now and then. And I understand that you're on the tougher side of the Big Ten. And it's so much easier for Minnesota or Nebraska or Iowa to get to. Yeah, well, you know what? You're not them. So tough shit. You're where you are geographically. It is what it is.
That's the other side of playoff expansion. That's the reason why it's not going to happen, because you're never going to get SEC schools to agree to coming up north and playing the right number of conference games and scheduling non-conference home and homes with Big Ten schools.
SEC loves the second week in November where they can put a bunch of FCS schools into their stadiums and just beat the hell out of them and take a week off. It's their get-right week at the beginning of November every week for the SEC.
And I think Alabama has...
every year.
Alabama has some type of contract coming up where they're supposed to play a Big Ten team, and I'm like, they're going to cancel this before the opportunity comes up, because they do not travel. They do not leave the state of Alabama or Arlington, Texas in the first 5 weeks of the season. Yeah, exactly. They just don't.
It's we're playing in Atlanta, we're playing in Arlington, or we're playing in Tuscaloosa.
That's it.
Nowhere else. Sometimes New Orleans. Rarely.
So let's head over to the NFL, because Lions fans who kept saying to me, if this were your team, you would know that you got jobbed. Well, it happened to my team today. And I'm not going to get on here and tell you that I think you
want
can
me
do it.
To? Because I will. Like, I've been there. I'm there all the time. This is regular shit for me. But I'm sitting there watching. The scoop and score is one thing. We've seen... it feels like 10 times. It's probably not 10, but it feels like 10 times this year that we've seen them either blow the whistle or not blow the whistle and get it wrong. Like, you don't blow the whistle. If it might be a fumble, you don't blow the whistle. Because guess what? No one has to challenge. It's automatically reviewed. Yep. You get the benefit of having someone save your ass. I don't remember who the reffing crew was tonight, but if you're that guy.
Whoever it was, they should all be fired into the sun.
Just don't blow the whistle. And then, okay, you get bailed out. New England comes down and they score anyways. And you take it off the board. What are you doing? You're 4 feet off the sideline. You don't have a straight-on look at it. So you're depending on the guy back behind the play, trailing, looking only at the sideline to see if his foot has gone out, and he's clearly shielded by the defender and can't see whether or not the foot goes out. They both look at each other like, do you have him in? Well, I don't know. Do you have him in? Well, I don't know. Let's mark him at the 3. Why? Why didn't you just call it a touchdown and go back and look? Because if they call it a touchdown, it's automatically reviewed. And guess what? It would have taken 5 seconds to confirm it as a touchdown. It was so clearly that his foot was not out of bounds. He was wearing white cleats.
It really would have taken
green in between. It would have taken 5 seconds.
It would have taken a couple of seconds.
And they take that touchdown off the board. And I understand there are a million takes on how New England played this game. But there is only one take on the referees. And that's that they fucked up. Like, they took a touchdown off the board. If they score that touchdown, we come back, and instead of having to go for it on 4th down, they kick a field goal, we're tied, and we got Patrick Mahomes going down. As an impartial fan here, I sound like a Patriots fan. I don't mean to. I'm a guy who wanted to see Patrick Mahomes in a tie game with a minute left, who hadn't done anything in the second half, have a chance to go down on the best defense in the NFL and get a field goal that Harrison Butker would hopefully miss, because I hate Harrison Butker. He gets way too pumped when he makes kicks. And then we get overtime again. I'm an impartial fan. That's what I want. Why are you taking that away from me over something all you had to do was not blow the whistle?
They really need to figure out how to make those plays reviewable, because it's absolutely insane.
It's bonkers.
New England getting punished for not having a challenge, despite the fact that they scored a touchdown, is insanity.
Even more so, they didn't have the challenge because they lost a challenge that they should have won.
Yeah, that
He
too.
was clearly a yard and a half short. Even if he got the first down, he got the first down a yard before where they marked him. They won that challenge and they didn't get it.
He was very clearly at the 39. They could not overturn the first down. They had to move that ball back.
I'm not saying he didn't catch it. I don't think he possessed the ball until he was laying flat on his back. The ball never touched the ground, so it's a catch. But I don't think he had it until he was on the ground. And they marked forward progress a yard before where he even touched it.
There were wild calls in this game. I thought it could have been OPI on Travis Kelce in that same play.
And then there was another one, Dorsett, down on that same drive where they would have
clearly PI.
And the ball was behind, and people were like, it's a catch. Doesn't matter. He has a chance to make the play, and the guy grabs him in the air. That's clearly PI.
And they didn't have the challenge there either.
Right.
It was a ton of. I agree. The refs were horrible, and there was even two plays after the missed touchdown where they signaled a touchdown for an N'Keal Harry catch. Clearly was not a catch. Mm-hmm. One official signals touchdown, one official signals incomplete, one official signaling God knows what, but all three of them are signaling different things. So then you end up with they have to go to review, and they, after calling it a touchdown and after the Patriots are off on the sideline and sending their field goal unit out, they say, oh, actually, that's incomplete. Get back out here. By the way, the clock's running.
Don't even reset the play clock for him. Like, don't even give them a fresh 25. Raise the roof thing.
By the time they're lined up, they have like 2 seconds on the play clock, and they have to call a timeout. Yeah. So the refs
it's incompetence.
The refs in the span of like 3 minutes of game time cost the Patriots a scoop and score touchdown, cost the Patriots a receiving touchdown, and cost the Patriots a timeout. Mm-hmm. In the span of 3 minutes of game time.
They took like essentially 11 points off the board.
And yet, I'm not blaming the officials for the loss.
And again, if you're a Patriots fan, you can look at this game and have a bunch of takes about, man, what the hell's going on with the offense? And the defense was great in the second half. Really great.
It's weird because
what a play by McCourty on the fumble.
Oh, it was incredible.
What a play.
The defense was lights out in the second half. Yeah. The offense actually left me with hope in the second half, too.
Trick plays were abundant in this game.
I think I'm at a point where I want Josh McDaniels thrown in jail, because if I have to see one more screen pass on first down, I'm going to lose my mind.
I didn't get the screens to Edelman. Like, they're doubling him all over the field. You're going to throw a screen to him?
And the weirdest one I saw was they faked a handoff to James White and then screened him inside on the same play. What are you achieving by rubbing a screen pass for a guy you just faked a handoff to?
I will say this, though. I'm not a Brady guy. Like, I understand he's the GOAT, and I'm not arguing that at all. I'm just not a Brady guy because he went to Michigan, and I'm not a Patriots fan. That little 17-yard scamper for the first down. My heart rate got going.
I tell you what,
like,
that's the type of play.
Get down.
But that's the type of play where I saw it, and that's the type of play where I get hype. I was screaming.
You have to.
It was incredible. And he looks like a goofball.
That's a 12-year-old's dad running down the field.
It's also like, there's a certain beauty about Brady when he takes off.
Oh, man.
Because, this is the slowest man on the football field.
The definition of lumbering down the field.
There are 350-pound offensive linemen with more speed than this guy.
More grace.
But
more grace. He runs like a duck.
I feel like he looks like a gazelle when he's out there.
Oh, no. No, a wounded gazelle.
He's clearly very slow.
I mean, it is.
But there's something beautiful about watching Tom Brady run 17
there's
yards.
a bounce to his step. I will give you that.
He sure didn't look like a 42-year-old running that puppy.
I mean, man, the slide and everything. Like the man who he got drafted in baseball out of high school, didn't he?
Yeah, Montreal Expos. Somehow,
good for them.
The fourth quarter of that game left me with hope for the offense because they made a couple things happen. They made the ball move a little bit.
I will say this, like,
damn near tied the game.
Yeah, like they had every chance to win that game. Sans the refs, like they had every they blew it in every way they could in the first half. But then, like, they had every chance down the stretch to at least tie that game. Oh yeah, they were right there, and. Like you never want to blame the refs when a team plays that poorly to start the game, but man, like as I'm sitting there as an impartial fan thinking they got screwed.
And all they got to do is keep the 2 seed and get into the playoffs, and then it'll be the same movie we've all seen so many times, where it's like this team can't hope to compete, and they go to the Super Bowl anyway.
They still have the best defense. There's no doubting that.
If they do, they absolutely have the best defense. But if they do go to the Super Bowl, I have a feeling it's going to be the most unwatchable game we've ever seen.
More than last year.
I really do.
Man, last year sucked.
Last year was very much unwatchable. If it's Patriots and 49ers in the Super Bowl, I have a feeling it is going to be the most unwatchable Super Bowl we've ever had.
I know you're in the camp of you don't want him back at all, and Schefter came out today and said there's no chance he's coming back this year. But, like, it was so clear that they just need one guy that takes away people from double teaming Edelman. They just need one other person out there that the defense has to pay attention to. Because the only dude they're paying attention to is Julian. That's the only one. They don't give a shit about anybody else out there.
So Deion Sanders said, there was a quote that he was asked about the Patriots, and he said, I guarantee you there's help coming. I guarantee you there's help coming, he said.
Yeah, but Deion says a lot of things.
Yeah, but then Stephon Gilmore was asked, is there a chance that you would play wide receiver in certain downs for the Patriots?
Come on.
And Stephon Gilmore said, don't look that hard.
I mean,
Des Bryant also recently tweeted that he has big news coming.
Dude, you don't want Des off on a torn Achilles at 30 whatever years old.
I would rather have that than Antonio Brown.
Would you? There's still a videotape out there of Des Bryant. We just haven't seen it.
Well, that's true. He's not going to bring. He's not going to bring the circus that Antonio Brown.
I'll give you that, but I'll tell you this: Des Bryant doesn't scare me.
I don't think it's going to be some huge help.
Yeah, but Antonio Brown scares me.
N'Keal Harry looked good at the end of this game.
He looked good, but like the thing, help coming. Des Bryant's not scaring Baltimore. Antonio Brown is absolutely, utterly petrifying Baltimore.
You know who scares me, though? Lamar Jackson scares the shit out of me.
Without a doubt.
Lamar Jackson.
That guy's good.
Lamar Jackson has put a palpable fear of God in me.
Did he break Michael Vick's record today? I think he had to have. He only needed like 24 yards, didn't he?
I have never felt this palpable fear of an athlete since LeBron did his look at the camera in Game 6, when you just knew this was no time to fuck with LeBron and the Celtics were going to get demolished, which is exactly what happened. Lamar Jackson is putting that same fear of God into me. He is so good.
I mean, like the numbers don't look ridiculous, but he's just so in control of everything they do, or whoever is calling.
That Bills defense is really good.
They are really good, but I mean, even not like what they get on the ground today, something like 100 and some odd yards. 118 yards rushing today and 145 yards passing, and it seemed like they were in control until the end when the Bills almost drove it. Like, there's that team that just lull you and then they step on the gas at the end and kill you at the end. Like, it's just, he's so good at coming up with the big play.
So here's the other development in the NFL that's really just kind of a shocking one is it's December 8th and the Buffalo Bills still can win the AFC East. The Patriots haven't even clinched a playoff berth yet.
Right, that would have happened tonight. What are they, 10-3 against 9-4?
What are the odds that the Patriots lose the AFC East to the Bills?
It's in Fox. If they didn't play in Foxborough, I'd say, okay, maybe. But it's going to be whoever wins that game in Week 16 is probably going to win the division, right? Like, if New England wins it, they'd have to, it'd be over, I think, if they won it then. Buffalo goes to Pittsburgh next week. That's not a guarantee. That's a night game. Sunday Night Football against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I feel like, always wins on Sunday night at home.
I feel like somehow they're good this year, too. Like, they shouldn't be.
They win today? I think they did. Or no, they played
the Cardinals.
Yeah.
They did win.
They won.
Somehow the Cardinals are like the worst team.
Pittsburgh's going to the playoffs.
They have no business being in the playoffs.
I know, but they're 8-5.
Mike Tomlin has done an absolutely incredible job.
Probably
with this
coach of the year, right?
It's got to be John Harbaugh, no?
Yeah, I guess. They're in the same division. If John Harbaugh wins it, I suppose. That makes sense. I just think John Harbaugh has a legendary quarterback and pretty damn good defense, and Mike Tomlin's on Duck Hodges, no James Conner,
I think it's
like all these
no
guys.
Juju. I think it should be Mike Tomlin, but I think it will be either John Harbaugh or Kyle Shanahan.
That's another good one. They were terrible last year.
One of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's like the quick NBA analogy. It's like
the Ravens weren't good last year either. Well, they made the playoffs, but they got destroyed when they got in. And before they put Lamar in, they weren't good.
I mean, I remember that playoff game last year thinking, yep, Lamar Jackson can't play quarterback in the NFL. That was what I thought. Like, when he could not complete a pass for a whole half against the Chargers at home in a playoff game, I was like, this dude's done. Experiment failed. It's over. He can't play.
It reminded me of Tim Tebow, where he had that nice run to get into the playoffs and then got into the playoffs against a real team in New England.
Has one more playoff win than Matthew Stafford.
And got killed. But anyway. Yeah, like, man, I'm sad about the Colts. I just want to hold a little funeral for the Colts because I thought they were going to make their way into the playoffs, and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, they're not out of it in that division. That's the crazy thing. Jacoby Brissett sort of digressed a little bit. Maybe that's not the right word. Regressed, not digressed. It's definitely not the right word. Marlon Mack can't run the ball worth hell right now. Something must be wrong. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Because he was running it so well, and Tampa Bay is a good defense, but 3 yards a carry.
Should the Cowboys be allowed to make the playoffs if they win the NFC?
The NFC should be excluded from all postseason activity completely. They should not be allowed to play. They're like the Pac-12.
Did you see the report that the NFL will not even consider reseeding the playoffs?
This is my shocked face.
I mean, what do you mean you won't even consider? Why? You have a 10-2 Seattle team that at time of taping looks like they're going to go to 10-3, and an 11-2 San Francisco team, and a 10-3 Green Bay team, and a 10-3 New Orleans team.
Minnesota.
One of these teams is going to have to travel to Dallas. Why?
I mean, every wild card team right now is better than every team in the NFC East. Every single one of them. There's no way they're going to host a game where the team has a worse record than them. At this point, I can't imagine that happening. Both wildcard teams are going to have better records than either the Cowboys or the Eagles. And if the Eagles make the playoffs, oh my God. That team lost to the Lions, people. At home. Like,
they might lose to the Giants tomorrow.
I mean, if that team makes the playoffs, I give up. I absolutely give up. And if they get to host a playoff game, come on.
I think it might have been 2014 when the Panthers made it with a losing record, but I always remember 2012 when the Seahawks got in at 7-9 because they won the West, and the Saints at 12-4 had to travel to Seattle. When you play a playoff game in Seattle, you don't win that playoff game.
It's a clear advantage.
And the Saints at 12-4 lost to a 7-9 Seattle team.
It's a Marshawn Lynch run, right?
Yep, because they had to play in Seattle. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit.
You make a team go west, and it's a wild card game, so they're going to play in the afternoon. So their clock is going to be way past the afternoon, and they're going to be playing a night game in their head while the other team's fresh. Like, it's not fair at all.
If Seattle finishes at 13-3 and has to travel to 6-10 Dallas,
6-10 is a little much.
It could happen.
It could happen, but you
got to go to 6-10 or 7-9 Dallas.
Well, 7-9 won't shock me. 6-10, I'd be like, God, that's bad.
To play a playoff game and you lose to that team because it's in Dallas instead of in your house in Seattle where you don't lose playoff games, that's bullshit.
It's completely bullshit.
They have to reseed this.
And they never will, because the owners will never go for it. They say, if I win my division, I want to host a playoff game.
Fuck that.
Absolutely.
Stop.
They did it in the NBA. When this happened, was that 15, the year after the Spurs, and the Spurs get to host the Blazers or the Clippers, whatever it was in that first round, where just because the Blazers won a crappy Northwest division, they get to host the playoff series. And
they cut that out.
And then they stopped right away. They're like, no, this isn't right. We're done with this.
The NHL still does it. And that's why I don't like when the people go with the NHL and they're like, oh, the 8 seed can win. Yeah, that's because you fucking prioritize division winners, so you have shit teams in the top 3 and an 8 seed that's really good. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why that stuff happens. There shouldn't be shit teams taking up the top of the seeding like the Cowboys just because they won their division. Doesn't matter.
I hate divisions in general. I don't understand divisions. You want to have conferences? That's fine.
I think
divisions
in football,
I don't get.
You got to have divisions in football because there aren't enough games for everyone to play everyone. But
conference-wise, why not? Why not just
seed them?
But do you need interconference play? Like, I understand that it's fun and you want to see the Cowboys play the Patriots every now and then, but if you don't need it, what's the point? Why not just have everybody play everybody in their conference one time, seed them in the playoffs, and let's go, and the NFC plays the AFC in the championship game? There aren't that many natural rivalries that will suffer.
But there are, like, you know how many more brands there are in the NFC than there are in the AFC?
It's fair, but it's not like there are none in the AFC.
But that's an ownership thing where, like, you have a division, the Texans, the Titans, the Colts, and the Jags. Not one of those is a brand. The Colts were when they had Peyton. They ain't anymore.
No, you're right.
You got the AFC West, the Chiefs, the Raiders.
The Texans are still football in Texas, though. It's still a really big fan base. It's still football in Texas.
But it ain't the Steelers.
It's not Dallas.
Or the Cowboys,
right.
or the Eagles, or the Packers, or the Vikings, or the
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the
Niners.
AFC has the Patriots and has the Steelers and has other decent...
Are the Patriots going to be a brand in the next 3 years?
As long as that guy's still calling plays, or is still running... I don't even know if he's calling plays. Is still running the team, they're a brand. If Belichick is there, I don't care who he's got. They're a brand.
It's just...
And honestly, you got the... I know they suck, but the Jets are a brand.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's not a winning brand.
You're not wrong.
It's not a winning brand.
That does suck.
Right.
Like, you could make the same thing for the Browns, too, really.
Make the same thing, yeah. Oh, no, because the Jets are a brand because of where they are.
And the Jets also didn't take 30 years off.
Right.
But you do look in the NFC, and it's like the Cowboys are over there, the Packers are over there.
Brand, even in a sense.
The 49ers, yeah, they are. The 49ers are over there. The Seahawks are over there. Like, all these teams that draw a ton of money. The Giants, for Christ's sake. All of these teams that draw all this money are all in the NFC. And if you don't have, like, the Patriots are going to play the Eagles this year. The Patriots are going to play the Cowboys this year. Patriots are going to play the Giants this year.
Maybe do that. Maybe you have 4 games every year against one particular division from the other thing, or you just pick 4 teams without the divisions. Just pick 4 teams from the other team that they're going to play, and then in the other 12 weeks, they play 12 teams from their conference.
And then just straight up conference standing. Yeah. They got to do something about this seeding, though, because the division championship shit it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's really not. It doesn't make any sense.
Should we talk about the NBA?
I would love to.
Because I can't decide where I want to start. So many things have happened, but there was one thing that was incredibly funny that happened, and so that's where I think I want to start.
Perfect place to start.
Chris Paul did a thing that... I mean, we talk about whiners in the sport. I'm going to start by talking about whiners and make this a theme, because Dabo Swinney has been a massive whiner in sports.
And a liar. Flat out lied to a bunch of college kids.
Yeah. So you tell him what he said.
Okay, let me get it right. How do you stand up in front of a bunch of kids and do this? Like, I'm going to find the tweet here so that I get it right. But essentially what he did was to tell his team that no reigning champion has ever started the season number 1, gone undefeated, and then not been number 1. Yes, there has.
Literally.
It happened like 4 years ago, whatever it was. That's a flat lie. This is Joe Biden being up there and telling the world that Kamala Harris doesn't exist when Kamala Harris is standing right there and clearly exists. Like, this is exactly what that happened was. He said, no team has ever done this. And it's like, wait, Florida State did that. Like,
5 years ago.
Yeah, like and they lost to Oregon in the playoff right after they won they had the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. What are you talking about, Dabo? Like, he just flatly lied. So, like, we'll jump back to the NBA after I'm done calling. I finished calling Dabo a liar now, but what Chris Paul did was, like, and I'm going to preface this by saying I can't stand Chris Paul. I haven't been able to stand Chris Paul since the Julius Hodge incident of 2000. 2003, 2004, whatever year that was.
It's going back.
I mean, that was the first time where I was like, this guy sucks. Who hits a guy in the balls like that in the middle of a game? And he's done it like 4 other times.
I can't believe that this guy's held on to being president of the NFL Players or the NBA Players Association.
Well, I can believe it because he was his best friend. But
well, true.
Nobody wants to piss that guy off. But what he did was so calculated in this moment because I am so firm in my belief that there is one, and I mean one, NBA official who would have called that in that moment. And Chris Paul turned to his right, looked, saw that Scott Foster was standing right next to him, looked back, saw Jordan Bell coming in, and said, Scott, his jersey's untucked. And Scott Foster took 2 more times of him saying it before Scott Foster finally realized, oh, hold on, here's an opportunity to make the game all about me, which he loves to do. Nobody loves making the game more about him than Scott Foster does. Literally, ask any NBA player. They will tell you Scott Foster loves to make the game about him. And in one split instant, there was Scott Foster saying, I can call a delay of game on Jordan Bell, when he is quite literally, in no sense of the way, delaying the game. Like, just walking in and standing at the free throw line. He was not delaying the game. His jersey was just untucked. That's all it is. Chris Paul knew that rule. It's a rule I bet you Billy Donovan didn't even know. He knew the rule. He knew Scott Foster would call it. He knew if it was Ed Malloy, if it was Ken Mauer, if it was Tony Brothers, if it was Zach Zarba, if it was whoever, they were going to tell him to fuck off. But it was Scott Foster, and he knew he was going to call it. So good for you, Chris Paul. I hate you, but you got your team a win. And Minnesota, don't let Dennis Schroeder go deep and catch a layup and lay it in and you still win the game. You have only yourselves to blame. Don't look back and say Chris Paul did that. That's why we lost. No, dude. You let a guy from New Zealand who's never played football before throw a football pass to a guy from Germany who's never played football before, catch it like it's a football, and turn and lay it in. That's on you.
Speaking of things that are on you and whining in the NBA, good Lord, somebody tell the Houston Rockets nobody wants to fucking hear it. Somebody please pull Tillman Fertitta aside.
It's not Tillman Fertitta. I mean, he might be, yeah.
Pull him aside. Pull Daryl Morey aside.
It's that guy.
Pull James Harden aside. Pull everybody, Mike D'Antoni, pull them all aside and just whisper in their ear. Nobody wants to fucking hear it. When you are up 22 points against the Spurs at home and you can't hold on to win, you can't even hold on to not force overtime.
It was 14 when that dunk didn't count. 14 points they were up.
15, I think.
Yeah, if it would have counted.
You're up 15 if it counts. So James Harden dunks a ball, and he dunks it so hard that the officials couldn't tell if it went in or not, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said.
40 cameras in every NBA arena.
One, this is where the rule just needs to be changed, that it's a reviewable thing, but it doesn't.
That not be reviewable?
But it doesn't stop the game. Don't make it stop the game. Right. Just keep playing and have someone on the side
You can go back and look at a three-pointer or whatever,
We'll
right?
put 2 points up.
Exactly.
That's it. Anyway, you're up 13 points after this play. There are 7 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the game. And you go to overtime against the Spurs because James Harden and Russell Westbrook combined to shoot 18 of 68 from the field. Nobody gives a shit that he missed a dunk at 7:50. You had 7 minutes and 50 seconds to not lose. Don't lose.
All you got to do is play a little defense. Like a little bit. It's not like the Spurs are some juggernaut offensively.
All you have to do is say, hey, Russ, you can't hit water if you fall out of a boat. Stop shooting the ball.
It is so worth noting that same Spurs team lost to the Pistons by 20 plus. Like, you couldn't hold on to beat that team.
Like, and then the fact that Daryl Morey is coming out protesting the game.
It's a huge part of it.
And saying that he wants to replay the final 750 or just be handed the win outright.
It's a huge part of it that it's him. Because not only were people already upset with Daryl Morey and how much he bitches all the time, like sending multiple, I mean, we're talking, what was it, like 40 plus pages of a report about the conference finals 2 years ago to the league. Like, they didn't have anything to do with it. So they're already mad at you. And then the whole China thing happens, which is literally underlying everything this year. It's not being talked about, but it is underlying everything. The fact that they are still not streaming NBA games in China.
Jeff Van Gundy's going to say something about it on a national televised game,
Can't
and
wait.
He's going to lose his job for it. I'm telling you, he's going to say something, and he's going to get booted off the broadcast.
Somebody is. And I don't even mean it has to be a broadcaster, but somebody's going to say something about China eventually and get fired. Like, it's going to happen. And everybody wanted it to be Daryl Morey because they're sick of Daryl Morey. It was the perfect way to get Daryl Morey out, but you can't fire him like that. You can't do that because all he did was say something positive about democracy. And if you're not going to get on anybody else for speaking about human rights, how can you get on Daryl Morey at that point? And I get that. But Daryl Morey is who he is because he's the whiny nerd that everybody hates.
Yep.
Like, he's the guy he's Billy Beane. He is Billy Beane, except his teams have gotten a lot further than the Oakland Athletics ever have.
The thing that sucks about this, too, is like, Daryl Morey is absolutely right. The bucket should have counted.
1,000% correct.
Something should be done about this, but
it's an egregious error.
But the fact that it's coming from the guy who 1 year after a conference finals pulled the L2M report and whined about it so vocally that the report got tweeted. And this is a game where you were 0 of 27 from 3, and you want to blame a foul call in the final 2 minutes for the reason that you weren't in the finals, when the real reason was you refused to let James Harden shoot from mid-range. The Warriors exploited that by putting everyone on the perimeter and defending it, and he wasn't getting the foul calls that you built your regular season on. That's why you lost.
By the way, he's never getting in the playoffs. They're never coming. It's not like, 1 year they're just going to decide to call those. When the playoffs happen, those aren't fouls.
Whining about the last 2 minute report in a game where literally all you had to do was go down to the sideline, tell Mike D'Antoni, hey, let him shoot a mid-range jumper. And if he shoots a mid-range jumper, you're in the NBA Finals.
Or, not even tell him to shoot a mid-range jumper. Don't shoot 6 seconds into the clock.
Yes. And it's like, instead, you lost. Now you're blaming the L2M and the officials a year later, and then we get into this now where they didn't count a dunk, so you blame the officials for losing to the Spurs in a game where you blew a 22-point lead. Like, the optics of 0 of 27 from 3 and blowing a 22-point lead, and those are the two games that you have most vocally complained about, is insane.
It's who he is. It's who he is at his core. I mean, this is the old Kevin McHale stories of, he used to bring me the analytics report and he'd walk out of the office, I'd rip it in half and throw it in the trash so that we weren't doing that. Like, that's Kevin McHale's perfect antithesis of Daryl Morey, and it's how everybody feels about Daryl Morey. Keep bringing me all these reports that no one gives a shit about, and I'm going to rip them up and throw them in the trash.
I'd say secret about Daryl Morey. He's absolutely right about shooting threes and layups, and those are the only things that you do. You will win 60 games in the regular season.
Absolutely.
When you get into the playoffs, let him shoot a mid-range shot, because CJ McCollum won a series with a mid-range shot.
Literally beat a really good Denver team by shooting mid-range shots. Dame was awful for the last 3-4 games of that series.
It's just one of those things where just shut up. Nobody wants to hear it. And the funniest thing is, I almost wish that the NBA goes, let's replay the final 750, and they lose anyway. That would be the funniest thing. Why would the Spurs even show up? If I'm the Spurs and the NBA is like, we're going to have you replay the final 750, I'd be like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. And if they do, it'd be like, cool, you're going to pay me for a whole game, because that's 83 games. I already played this. My contract's for 82. You're going to pay me for a whole nother game. I get another game check. Like, that's what that's going to be. And when they don't want to do it, it's over. Because guess who's the cheapest dude in the league? Tillman Fertitta. And he's not going to be like, I'll fork over another how many millions for a game.
He's pinched pennies like nobody's business with that team.
And has just, I don't care if you're cheap as long as you admit it. Like, what's his name? Herb Simon in Indiana. Everybody knows he's cheap because he's cheap, and he'll be cheap, and he's cool with being cheap. Tillman Fertitta's like, I never tried to get us under the luxury tax. Really? Because you just randomly didn't pay people at the end and traded a dude to get you just underneath the luxury tax? Didn't sign someone into an open roster spot at the end of last year? Seems like you wanted to get under the luxury tax so that you wouldn't have to pay the repeater this year. I think you did that. Like,
it's
just
fine.
say what it is. Just say, be like, no, dude, that luxury tax $30 million, and we weren't going to win, so I didn't want to pay it.
It's like the same thing. Oh, wow, what a pick. What a terrible throw by Jared Goff. Oof. That was one of the worst throws I've ever seen.
I didn't see it.
Wait until you see that. Oh my God, the Jared Goff experiment has to be done.
I was reading. Well, they're up 21-10.
I've seen enough of this guy this season where it's like, good Lord, you got to get him a running back and a capable offensive line. But look at this throw. Then we'll get back into the NBA.
Oh, no, he didn't pick it. I was going to say, did he throw an interception?
What are you doing there, man?
I get that you got a guy. It's not the worst pick I've ever seen. It's a bad throw, but you got a guy coming right up the middle.
He's reading you from the start.
It's a bad throw.
You missed him by a mile.
If Robert Woods keeps going, okay, I don't want to break down Jared Goff, but either way, it's not a great throw.
All right, we are over 20 games for most teams into the season, upwards of 24, as low as 21 and as high as 24 games into the season for any given team in the NBA. I'm ready to have the conversation about which teams are good because I think there are more good teams in the East than there are in the West.
Will you do 10 seconds on Tyler Hero because holy crap. 16 points in the final 2 minutes of regulation and overtime. Every single field goal he made either tied or put the Heat ahead. And he scored the final 11 in overtime in the win.
Jimmy Butler, ultimate facilitator, apparently.
I'm loving Jimmy Butler, and I thought Kendrick Nunn was Rookie of the Year. Maybe it's Tyler Hero. I don't know. That was 10 seconds on Tyler Hero.
Let's do 15 seconds on Davis Bertans because holy fuck.
15 minutes on Davis Bertans.
Davis Bertans is on pace to hit 295 threes this year. Only Harden and Steph Curry have done that.
That's it.
In NBA history.
That's it.
Davis Bertans is on pace to do that. By the way, he's 6'10", and he's now made 5 or more three-pointers in 3 straight games and 4 of his last 5.
Okay, so hand up. Before this year, I was sleeping on Davis Bertans heavy. Didn't really know him. I mean, knew who he was, knew that he was in San Antonio, figured he's an okay player.
I knew he was like a stretch 4, stretch 5.
Never thought much of him. It was like 2-3 weeks ago that you told me, oh, the Celtics got to get this Davis Bertans guy. And I'm like, really? Like the guy that San Antonio didn't want instead of Marcus Morris? Okay, so I'll watch a few Wizards games. I didn't really cue in on him watching Wizards games until the other night because the Wizards are just like they hurt my brain when I watch because I can't figure out what's happening.
They're painful.
Like even from the coaching staff, like what the hell is Scott Brooks still doing there?
They're painful.
But either way, I'm watching him play, and I'm just thinking to myself, this dude is a 6'10" Kyle Korver, right? Like that's how they were using him. I'm not saying that's his skill set, but that's how they were using him.
World on fire in the opening 10, 20 minutes of that game.
I mean, first half
he was incredible.
Yeah. There was parts of me that I was like, why the hell did Greg Popovich think, Marcus Morris instead of this guy? Like, that's Greg Popovich. I think he finished the game 25 points on 9 for 16 and 7 for 13 from deep. Like, he played flawless. Like, I don't want to say flawless because whatever, but he played flawless.
He really did.
I watched the game, I'm like, I haven't seen this dude make a bad play all night.
In the span of 2 weeks.
Like they lost. Or no, they won that game. They won by 6. Yeah, they beat Philly. But
so because of his contract figure, it was always going to take Enes Kanter and Vincent Poirier to get Bertans from Washington to Boston. And because of over the span of 2 or 3 weeks with how well Bertans has played, it's gone from Kanter and Poirier and the Milwaukee pick that Boston has that's going to come 29 in the draft.
Yeah.
Potentially 30 in the draft.
30, probably 30.
It's gone from that pick to Kanter, Poirier, and Boston.
Is the Milwaukee pick this year? Mm-hmm. Don't the Pistons? Oh, no, the Pistons had it last year.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So then it went from that to Kanter, Poirier, and Boston's own pick, which is probably going to come somewhere in the 24 to
Late
25
20s.
range. To now, it might be Vincent Poirier and Enes Kanter and the Memphis pick, which, if it's not top 6 this year, is unprotected and probably top 5 next year.
And that's if they're not competing against other teams, because they might have to kick in a sweetener if somebody else wants them too.
This guy has raised his trade value in a way I didn't think was possible. That now here's the thing. Washington is sitting on a treasure trove with this dude because they could move him to a competitive team for a boatload.
Washington doesn't know if they're sitting or standing.
They have no idea what they're doing.
They're baffling. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
It took them 7 months of having no front office employee to get a GM?
Not 7, but it was a summer. They
felt like 7 months.
Right. And they went after one guy who clearly was not interested. They offered him an ownership stake, and he still wasn't interested, which is baffling to me now that he might have some interest in the Knicks. Why? Why would anyone have interest in the Knicks?
Becky Hammond said she'd consider going to the Knicks
for a
long-term
deal.
Only
for
that's
a
the big part.
long-term deal, right, because they give those out in New York.
I want 7 years.
And more power to her. They would do it just because they're the Knicks, but no, Becky, no, God, no, go somewhere else. But what were we talking about again? The Wizards. The Wizards are in this weird spot where I don't know what they want in a trade for Davis Bertans. I have no idea. Like, my head would tell me dead money and a pick, right? Like, that seems like what you'd get for Davis Bertans. But I got no idea what they're doing. Like, when John Wall comes back, am I to believe that the relationship with Scott Brooks is now mended from where it was terrible before? He got hurt, he just gone away, and no one's talked about how bad that was. It was terrible. So who's the coach? Who's the best player? Because you're going to tell me Bradley Beal's going to have 2 straight years of averaging 27 and think that he's going to give the ball back to John Wall and John Wall's going to be the best player now? It's not going to happen. Bradley Beal's taken over that team. Mm-hmm. So are you moving on from Bradley Beal? Because you just signed him to an extension and you literally can't trade him.
And he's not tradable.
They can't trade him till the draft anyways because they just signed him to the extension. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So when I look at, all right, landing spots for Davis Bertans, Boston is the first one I would think of because they need him more than anybody else, right? The other spots, Dallas, like off the bench, like where else is he going? But if they get into a competition, what's the sweetener? Like, what's the sweetener that Boston, is it both picks, Milwaukee and Memphis?
Do it. It's not worth it.
Like, I just don't know who else is going for him, or does he end up? I feel like there's a 3-team deal on the horizon because there's so many big numbers out there attached to guys who have to get traded, like a Kevin Love or a Chris Paul or whoever else. There've got to be more than 2 teams involved in these trades because they're way too complicated. Do you see Kevin Love in Boston?
No, they can't make the money work.
Well, they could, but you don't want them to trade the guy that could help make the money work.
No, I don't want to. Like, the only guys that can help make the money work.
Because Cleveland doesn't want Marcus Smart.
Yeah, but that's if you're going to get Kevin Love, you have to probably trade Jaylen Brown and
But you can't trade Jaylen Brown.
You can't. So that's out the window. You have to trade Marcus Smart and who? Because Marcus Smart alone's not enough.
Well, Marcus Smart. That's what I'm saying. That's why you get the 3 teams going on. Like if you're adding another team into the mix and you end up with Kevin Love in Boston, would you be sending Marcus Smart to Orlando for Jonathan Isaac and Bamba and then a bad contract in Orlando? Because Orlando has some contracts that they can make that work. Evan Fournier's due some money. He's playing out of his mind right now. I know no one's watching the Magic, but Evan Fournier's been outstanding.
Watch the Magic because Markelle Fultz is a feel-good story.
It is.
Another pick by Jared Goff. This guy's atrocious.
I got
This is incredible.
There's a lot of teams out there with, like, that's the one with Orlando. With Vucevic out now, where does Orlando go? Because, I mean, I've only watched probably 3 or 4 Orlando games this year.
I've watched many.
I'm watching to see Fultz, and I wanted to see Fultz and Vucevic.
I think that they can trade everyone except Jonathan Isaac.
I think they can trade Jonathan Isaac. I think Steve Clifford.
But I think they should, if they're smart, they'll keep him. And like, he's the guy that
they are smart. John Hammond is a really good GM.
He should be untouchable for them.
Should be. I'll tell you this right now. Steve Clifford does not want to play Mo Bamba. He doesn't want to play him. Like Kem Birch is
I don't think there's any value there. They could move Kem Birch.
But I'm saying there's value to certain teams. Because let's say Cleveland's moving on from Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson.
If we can't get Bertans, I want Kem Birch.
He's a heck of a player. Like, I like Kem Birch a lot. But I'm saying, if Cleveland is moving on from Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, they're going to want a young big guy. And Mo Bamba would fit that mold of a stretch guy who can play in Beeline's system. There are other younger guys like that too, but Orlando is a team with money they don't need and with players they don't need. And if Vucevic is out for however long, they're not going to make the playoffs. Maybe that's a 3rd-team facilitating team. Charlotte's another one. Nick Batum's contract is still there. I think Charlotte wants Kevin Love more than anybody else wants Kevin Love. And I think they would love to get off Nick Batum to do it. I don't think there's any chance in hell they can get off Nick Batum to do it.
If Charlotte makes a deal for Kevin Love, what the fuck is Charlotte doing?
Oh, Charlotte thinks they're making the playoffs this year.
That's the other.
If anyone, this is
Mike. Stop.
Oh no, not Mike. Well, Mike, but Mitch. Mitch is a delusional guy. Like,
Mitch Kupchak's an idiot, and it's
no.
But I blame Mike because, dude, at some point, bro, you gotta realize Mitch Kupchak has no clue what he's doing.
I mean, even so, like, there are guys. Frank Kaminsky's having a great year.
Really good,
and he was. Like, towards the end of the year, he played a little bit for Borrego, but most of the year, he was not playable in Charlotte. And he's having a good year playing for Monty Williams. Like, I trashed him last year, hand up. I thought he was terrible. I thought he'd be overseas this year. I got the wrong white guy from Wisconsin. It's Decker who went overseas.
Terry Rozier's having himself a nice little year, too. He's not worth what they paid him, he's having a nice little year.
Sneaky, young, really good backcourt. Not really good. Sneaky, young, good backcourt. Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham.
Yeah. Devontae Graham's been incredible.
I love Devontae Graham. I still love him for most improved. There's some other guys who are there now, but I still love him for most improved.
It's not going to a second-year player.
It can't.
That's the only thing.
Not 2 years in a row. Like, you can't do it 2 years in a row.
Wasn't Siakam a third year? Like, wasn't he technically a third-year player last year?
Yeah, 1 year in the G League and coming back. Yeah, fair. There are other guys, too, who probably deserve it. There are more guys this year who I'm amazed at how far they've regressed. What happened to Gary Harris?
Yeah. Oh God. What happened to Jamal Murray?
Right. But both those guys.
Jamal Murray got paid and said, "Fuck it, I don't need to play basketball anymore." What happened to Jokic? He's not even getting paid yet. Jokic isn't even that bad, but it's like, good Lord, dude.
The other night against Boston, he never quit. I like that because I was like, there were plays where I was like, Jesus, Nikola, move your feet, and then he finally just starts playing, got garbage points. But
Nikola Jokic is so weird to me because I watch him play, and it's like he'll set a screen like he's asleep. Like he'll get up right next to somebody and he'll just like kind of dazedly set the screen and then move himself into a situation where he's like sealing off the paint. He's holding up, like setting up a post up almost. He'll get the ball and then wake up for the span of like 2 seconds so that he can whip the craziest fucking skip pass you've ever seen out to the perimeter, and then he's back to sleep.
Last year, I mean, he's never been the fleetest of foot. Everybody looks at that guy and knows
he's a
what he is.
bowl of pudding.
Exactly. But he always tried on defense. Like, at least tried or was in the right spot. There were some possessions against Boston when that game got a little out of hand where I was like, he doesn't give a fuck about defense right now. Like, he's not even going to move his feet, do anything. He's just not playing defense. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on all the guys who suck this year. But I was going to ask you something else about the game. I totally forgot what it was now.
We need a most regressed player award.
There's some candidates for that this year. I don't know. You want to talk about the Knicks for a quick second?
Good Lord. Every episode, Kevin. Every episode we do this.
All right. I want most people know this already because shout out to Rick Carlisle and shout out to Greg Popovich and all the other coaches who came to his aid. David Fizdale got fired last week.
Oh, he sure did. Did you see the Twitter meltdown about David Fizdale? Mm-mm. There was some girl who had to delete her account.
Yeah, I did see that.
Because she called him the N-word. And then people said, did you really just call David Fizdale the N-word?
And she literally wrote N-word. Like, it's so bad that she didn't even type it. So why would you think to say it on Twitter?
Originally, she spelled that fucker out.
Oh, did she?
But
okay.
yeah, but then she said, buddy, there was somebody who was like, did you really call him? And she was like, but he is one. And they said, he's one.
Double down.
He is one what? And she said, an M-word. And then she deleted all of these tweets.
Oh, sweetheart.
And, but the best part was that people were screaming, like, honey, you can't say this. No, and so people were getting real down her throat about it. And she's on there like, if you've screenshotted this tweet, I'm going to report you because you're ruining my life.
No, you did that to yourself. You did that to yourself. I don't know. Okay. I want to get into the Knicks for one quick second because I just want to explain a little bit about how badly they just scapegoated another coach. This is the third coach that this front office, because Steve Mills has been there the whole time, the third coach that he scapegoated. Hornacek, Fisher, and now Fizdale. They signed 5 power forwards. Like, they signed guards who couldn't play together. They drafted a player who should be the future of their franchise and surrounded him with free agents that don't fit around him at all. The most high-priced free agent they have is Julius Randle. He literally cannot play on the floor at the same time as your second most important young chip. Him and Robinson can't be on the floor. You want to know the players who average more isolations per 100 possessions than Julius Randle? LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, and James Harden. That's it. That's the list. All those guys are all-stars. All those guys are great players. Julius Randle isn't. He averages 9.8 isolations per 100 possessions. That's almost 10% of per 100 possessions he is isolating on.
It's not a good number.
He's not that good. You can't do that with Julius Randle. And it's not him. It's not Fizdale. It's him. New York. This is what's whopping. 9.8 isolations per 100 possessions. You want to know how many points they score per possession every time he shoots out of an isolation?
0.789.
You were so close. 0.81.
Ooh, right there.
Less than 1 point. I mean, How
That's
do you
brutal.
scapegoat a guy like that when you give him that? Like Rick Carlisle's quote was so perfectly spot on to say, I'm very happy for Fizdale that he got out of that mess he absolutely had nothing to do with.
Yeah, I don't know who would take that job. I don't know
Kenny Smith.
I don't know who would go in there and deal
Smith
with Dolan.
wants it.
I don't know who would. It's just insane. Another stat I saw. This is Jason Tatum over the last 4 games. 25.3 points, 3.8 assists, 2 steals, 1.3 blocks, 58% true shooting, 38.5% on 10 3-point attempts per game, and the Celtics are plus 23.4 per 100 with him on.
I'll say I was critical of him coming into this year. Like I don't know that Jason Tatum is just the blanket max player. He's been really impressing me since Hayward went out, especially.
He's going to go get himself $180 million.
He
might get himself
crazy.
He might get himself 220.
It's crazy that second contract guys now get 180. Like that used to be the supermax. Like it's so bonkers that's what they get. That's the NBA. That's not him. That's just the NBA. He has really, really impressed me since Hayward's been out.
Also, Jaylen Brown for 115 is starting to look like a discount.
Well, it's 4 years, not 5.
Which is, again, it's starting to look like a discount.
It's not as expensive as it could be, but if it was 5 for 115, I'd be like, that's a good deal.
Because if he plays like this before signing this extension, he's getting 5. He's getting 5,
yeah.
And he's getting like 165. Like he's getting, if he's playing the way he is right now, he's getting paid considerably more than he got.
I haven't looked at their cap thoroughly enough. Is there a casualty if they give Tatum that much money? Do they lose anyone?
Well, if Hayward opts in, they can go over for Tatum, but
if he doesn't opt in, they can't go over?
Yeah, correct. Because they don't have Hayward. So if Hayward opts out, I don't think they can give Tatum that money and
Can they
go
extend?
back max on.
They can't extend Hayward.
No.
That's a tough one.
I don't know why. This is where it becomes. Can you pay, if you pay Hayward first? Can you still go over for Tatum? Because they have Tatum's rights.
I feel like you can go over if it's a guy you drafted like that, right?
Yeah, they have Tatum's rights, so they can.
I don't know
they
that
can
for
do
a fact,
both.
but I
Yeah,
think so.
because they drafted both Jalen and Jason. I think they can. There's no casualty.
Well, I'll
they
tell
can
you this
just
then.
max everybody.
The casualty's your bench.
Well,
That's what it becomes. You become
but
the
if
Warriors
you have
in a sense.
good Gordon Hayward and good Jason Tatum, all-star Gordon Hayward, all-star Jason Tatum, all-star caliber Jaylen Brown,
and your
Kemba Walker,
your bench just becomes Marcus Smart and a bunch of dudes.
and Marcus Smart as your center, I think you're a good team.
True. I mean, better than
Enes Kanter, it's certainly better than Enes
and I mean,
Kanter.
even then, they're better than 12 teams in the East. With that lineup, probably minimum, right? Like, probably.
It depends what happens with Giannis in Milwaukee, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Because it could be 13 if things go south there.
you want to talk about the Lakers real quick?
God damn, they're good.
They're so good.
They're incredible.
And it's not just, LeBron and AD are amazing and everybody else is whatever. Like, no, like Dwight Howard's really good. JaVale McGee's playing really well.
Anthony Davis, an MVP candidate.
You want a sneaky 6-man candidate? Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, and that kills me. I hate that he's doing
but
it in this
you
uniform.
want a real fun stat? Shouts to Zach Lowe for this one. They're plus 16 per 100 possessions with Rondo and LeBron on the floor.
Jesus.
Plus 16. And Rondo's shooting 50% from deep because he's wide open every time.
It's really, it hurts. It hurts how good they are with him.
It is insane because non-shooting point guards are not supposed to be great with LeBron. And Rondo is just so damn smart that he becomes such a lethal cutter when LeBron has the ball. And it's not the first cut. It's Rondo makes the cut and then Rondo makes another pass. He is lethal with those. He plays so well with AD too. It goes back to how great they were in New Orleans. What do you have, 20 assists in that playoff game? I mean, he plays so well with AD. And when he's on the floor with LeBron, plus 16 per 100 possessions. That's crazy. They shouldn't be able to play defense. Both those guys are in their 30s. But they're so good at the rim defensively because AD wants to win DPOY. They are insanely good. Insanely good.
The AD stuff is starting to get me a little concerned. And it's not like this is the best team in the NBA to me right now. I know the Bucks are on this insane tear where they have projected expected wins at like 72.
Right.
Like they're going to challenge the
And their
Warriors
projected
record.
playoff wins is 9.
Right.
For me.
I mean, you're talking about a Bucks team that might challenge the Warriors record, in part because they get to play the bottom of the East a bunch of times. Which I guess the bottom of the West isn't a whole lot better. But
Well, it's better, just the records aren't.
the Lakers are unreal with how good they are, but I am getting the AD stuff where he needed an IV to play in Denver, and then he was questionable to play in Utah the next night. I'm getting a
lot of
little
altitude
nervous
in
where...
those cities.
Yeah, but like... This isn't exactly the healthiest track record player.
I like they're really big on we're not doing load management. I'm kind of like maybe just like
You've gotten yourselves off to the start where you've built a cushion enough. I think you can do it.
there are what every year, give or take, between 11 and 16 back-to-backs for teams, usually something like that. It's not that big a deal if he takes 12 games off. If he plays 70, it's not that big a deal.
If LeBron doesn't want to load manage, I get it. That whatever. Let LeBron.
I'd still make him.
Yeah, but like 80 should, because it feels like they're incredible, but an AD injury would ruin it all.
It would really hurt. AD and LeBron are obviously AD and LeBron. They're as irreplaceable as any two guys in the league.
I think Anthony Davis is the most irreplaceable player in the league right now.
Well, Giannis.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Bucks would be like a 44-win team without him, and with him they might win 70.
If you take Anthony Davis just out and give Dwight Howard all of those minutes.
You're true, but you take Anthony Davis out, and the dude who has the ball in his hands most of the time is still the dude who has the ball in his hands most of the time.
Oh,
you take Giannis out, all of a sudden
That
Eric
point
Bledsoe
guard.
has to handle it a lot, and you don't want that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, but it's probably those two, right?
For sure.
Like
For sure.
Again, MVP, most
And Blake
valuable
Griffin,
player.
of course, Blake Griffin.
Oh, boy. See, do we even have to talk about
No, we
them?
don't. No, I was just making a joke. We don't have to talk about the Pistons. They aren't good. Everyone who said, oh, well, they won 2 games by 20 points. Yeah, and then they got walloped at home by Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, I loved Greg Kelser during that game. Loved him. The Bucks are really feeling the Pistons tonight. The Pistons are sending a message. They're down 20, Greg. They're down by 20. Just because Blake Griffin knocked over Giannis when he was already on all fours, they're not feeling them. They're down by 20, and they know they can beat them 4 games in a row in May.
I don't want
or
to
April.
talk. I don't want to talk about that game. That game pissed me off. I took Pistons team under 107, and I nailed it. But I also had the under on the game, and it was like locked in to go way under until they scored 62 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, don't poke the bear.
So that was fun. Yeah, the Pistons, man, they got it. And the time is running out because the trades that I thought were there, which it sucks because you can't even make the trades you need to make until the 15th.
Right.
But the trades that I thought were there aren't there anymore. Portland is not good enough for them to need Blake Griffin.
Nobody wanted Reggie Jackson this summer when he was healthy. You think anybody wants him now?
Charlotte is not the buyout pipeline that I thought they might
Charlotte's better than them.
be. Yeah,
They've beaten them twice.
we're at a point with this team where you may have missed your shot. I mean, unless because the Knicks have so many 1-year deals, maybe they decide to just take on money and buy people out. But no,
I think there's an off chance that they could move Andre to Toronto for expiring money, like Gasol or whoever.
Is that what Toronto needs?
No, but well,
You have Ibaka and
you have Ibaka and Gasol, but I'd probably rather have Ibaka and Drummond. Like Gasol gives you threes, but Drummond gets 20 rebounds every game.
I feel like Toronto's definitely going to be buying instead of tearing down.
That's
their
what I'm
core,
saying. But Andre Drummond over Marc Gasol is a buy, no? At this point,
you lose a lot on defense.
do you? Like you lose a little. I don't know how much you lose. Like Marc Gasol is not the defender who won Defensive Player of the Year however many years ago. Because Serge Ibaka is clearly their best big guy defender.
His defense in the playoffs was huge.
It's good, and Andre Drummond has never been out of the first round. So
I don't know
fair.
that you're getting that level of effort that Gasol gives you.
We've never seen Andre Drummond on a team that's had a chance. Maybe it could. These are pipe dreams to just get bad contracts out of the Pistons. It's never going to happen. No one's taking Andre Drummond. No one's taking Blake Griffin. No one's taking Reggie Jackson. This is who you have. This is like you're hoping Luke Kennard somehow turns into a guy who can average 20 every night. It's never going to happen. Though I do like Luke Kennard. There have been games where I've been like, man, he would be perfectly cast as a bench shooter in the league, but it just sucks that they have to play him as the starting shooting guard because if Luke Kennard were on Philly, my God, would it be huge for them to bring Luke Kennard off the bench and let him shoot and run off these things because he really can. He's really improved. And that's it. That's all you got. That's all I can say positively about the Pistons. Luke Kennard's improved. I hope his mom likes another one of my tweets.
I'm starting to think, and I don't think it's really going to happen because I don't know that the Heat would need it, but what if the Heat made a move for Blake Griffin?
The Heat have been somewhat firm, just from, I haven't heard this since the summer, but have been somewhat firm, and they don't want any money that screws up the summer of 2021 because they want to make a run at everybody because they're the Heat.
Miami. You can throw Miami at free agents. You're going to get someone.
It's no state income tax. It's live in South Beach. It's blah, blah, blah. It's Miami. Blake is a guy who, at his healthiest, is a second, third team All-NBA forward. And he's great. He's also 30. He's shooting better than he's ever shot, even last year. I don't know that that's what Miami needs, and if it means Dion Waiters is coming back to the Pistons, no thank you.
Yeah, see, the Dion Waiters thing screws it up because they're not gonna let you have Justice Winslow. I think they might. I think Justice Winslow has suddenly all of a sudden become excess for them. So what if I offer you Kelly Olynyk, Justice Winslow? I don't think they'll move Myers Leonard. No, and here's the thing. I wouldn't want to bring in anybody that might stifle Bam Adebayo because I think Bam Adebayo might be an all-star in this league. That's true, too. He's really, really good. And I think bringing in Blake might stifle him a little. And I'm not sure I'd want to do that. Because I think you could make it work where you would get off enough money that it wouldn't screw things up for 21. But right. It'd be tough. And they've got really good young players. Like that 2021's a scary summer for them because they're young. They're off Dragic after this year, and that's another sneaky six-man candidate. But they're off Dragic after this year. They're off pretty much all their bad money by then, and they'll have two more years left to hero. Who's going to be their target in 21? Who's going to want to come and play with Jimmy Butler? Well, there's one guy in 2021 who used to play in Miami who may want to finish his career in Miami who, maybe Anthony Davis decides he wants to go to Chicago. I can't imagine why he would ever do that, but maybe he does. Actually, see, I was having a talk with somebody about this where if the Lakers don't win the title this year, I think AD is smart enough to look at the situation and go, this is going to get a lot fucking harder. Maybe I just get out of here and go do what I want to do in Chicago instead of waste a year with LeBron where we can't win because holy shit, did the Warriors just draft Vernon Carey? I agree with you until the point where AD has to go play for a team that's run by Garpax. Yeah, because he has Rich Paul as an agent, and Rich Paul is too smart to let any of his clients go play for Garpax. It's not like, yeah, let meet with our head coach. This is Jim Boylan. How are you getting Anthony Davis to Chicago at that point? But I feel like but I agree with you. He's somewhere else. If Rich Paul goes to Garpax and they're like, hey, we're going to bring you Anthony Davis. You just have to get rid of Jim Boylan and let Anthony Davis make the decision on who the head coach is going to be. I mean, I'm going to say this too. There were two teams he listed as you can trade me to these two teams and I'll sign an extension or I'll at least entertain it. One was the Lakers. The other one was not the Bulls. The other one was the Knicks. And the Knicks, look, when they made the trade to get $70 million in cap space, I said we can't judge it until they fuck up the cap space, and they did. And now I'm going to say it was a stupid firing. It was a scapegoat. It's an everything. But we can't judge them until we see who they get. In 2021. And if they get a coach, and if they somehow get Masai Ujiri, which I don't know why the hell he has interest, but it's reputable people are saying he's interested in the idea. Not interested in an interview, just intrigued by the idea. If they were to get Masai Ujiri, and he does make a good head coaching hire, and Anthony Davis says, I can play power forward next to Mitchell Robinson. I don't have to play center. And RJ Barrett's He wouldn't even have to play defense. And RJ Barrett's pretty good. Maybe. Probably not right now, but maybe. And you got whoever else you can bring with you, or they can make a trade with all these picks. Well, not all these picks anymore, but a couple of these picks, and Dennis Smith, well, he's still worth something, and whoever else, well, they're still worth something. Yeah, the idea of the Knicks might intrigue Anthony Davis, and LeBron could. All I'm saying is I have heard as much conjecture about LeBron going back to Miami in 21 in this year as I heard in 2012 about LeBron going back to Cleveland, which was 2 years before he went back to Cleveland. I would like to see LeBron wearing number 6 in Miami again. I do believe that is a possibility. Last thing we'll say, we're way over time, so we'll get off. But I love the NBA. maybe more than any other sports league, but I hate that it's the only sports league there is where teams can be run wholly incompetent and fall ass backwards into one of the 5 best players in the league. The Lakers did it twice. And now the Knicks might do it. The Knicks might, because they're the Knicks, might fall into the best executive.
Just geographically.
Yeah, but it's like you might fall ass backwards into the best executive and one of the 7 best players, even though you fucking suck.
It seems like fall ass backwards doesn't even do it justice.
It doesn't.
Like, trip all over themselves, fall down a cliff.
They're
bleeding from the ear. They have broken bones everywhere. And then they just randomly fall at the doorstep of the one doctor who can save them.
They're the drunk kid that like falls off a moped but hangs onto the back of it, so they get skidded all over the pavement, and then they go back up to their room bloodied, drunk, fall asleep, wake up, think they're in the bathroom, piss in a pile of their own clothes, fall face first into that, and then wake up the next day wondering what happened, and
win the lottery.
A beautiful girl walks in and just decides to marry them. Like, yeah,
all those things happen. It's like literally falling off a cliff and landing at the feet of a doctor who can save you. Like, you're dead, but you just landed right here, and this guy can save you. It's bonkers, and it could happen. I don't think it will happen because it could have happened this summer. Like, they could have fallen ass bad bungling a unicorn.
But Kevin Durant said they aren't cool.
Nope, I'm not saving them.
They aren't cool.
No one is coming to save them. That's why I'd like more power to you, Anthony Davis, because if you win in New York, you're the greatest player of all time in New York. There will be no debate about Michael Jordan. In New York, you will be the GOAT.
KD thinks different though. Like they aren't cool. It's also like
because the Nets are so cool.
Yeah, and I think the big thing was Kyrie was like, I would rather go to Brooklyn, and KD was like, oh, I've always been a beta my literal entire life. Wherever you want to go.
Real quick, how many more games for Kyrie this year?
Oh fuck, I'd be surprised if he plays 10.
I was gonna say 20. If he plays 20 more games, it puts him at about 40 games for the year. Right?
And the thing is, I don't know if it's a load management thing, or I don't know if he's got a little Markelle Fultz, Josh Langford deal going on, where it's like...
I don't know about you mean the shoulder thing?
Yeah, the shoulder's the only reason I bring up Fultz, but it does seem like maybe a Josh Langford thing, where they're like, this is fully healed, except for the fact that you can't play basketball for another year.
Yeah. I mean...
It's healed except for where it's not healed at all.
I never like to speculate on injuries. Kyrie Irving is perennially injured. This isn't like a new thing. Yeah, this is a dude who's been getting hurt every year. Go back to Duke. He gets hurt every year.
And people like... I've talked to people who are reputable with basketball knowledge, and they're like, the Nets next year when they have Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they're going to win a title. I don't think so, because Kyrie's body seems like it's turning on him now.
Go back to that too. I mean, how many guys come into the NBA and at 27 are perennial all-stars, all-star game MVPs, finals champions, and they have the same body they had when they were 19?
I mean, this is a kid.
It's like him and Kevin Durant. Those are the only 2 ones, and Kevin Durant's for an entirely different reason.
Yeah, and I mean, 1, that's an injury 7-footers do not come back from. And 2...
I hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But for Kyrie, it's like, we got to remember, this kid played 11 games at Duke.
And was unequivocally gave Kalen Lucas 31. He was spectacular. I will always say this. Like, there's a lot of things with Kyrie Irving. He's a spectacular basketball player. Absolutely unbelievably talented.
He cannot stop getting hurt.
There's a million other things that
He's
go into
weird
that.
As fuck.
Yep. He's super out there.
Kind of a dick.
I think he dropped kind of.
He's a dick.
I've watched the guy who's the number 1 point guard in my class. Like, in my high school class. I'm a point guard. I loved his game forever. I don't know what to make of it right now. Like, I still go back to, and I don't want to go off on this rant because I've done it a million times, but I still go back to, would he just be a dude with Andrew Wiggins in Cleveland right now who gets 30 and they lose in the first round of the playoffs every year if LeBron never came back? Would that be who we say Kyrie Irving is? Because it seems like that's who he is. That's just who he is. He's Harden. He just likes getting numbers.
Who's the player... Because I don't even think he'd be Harden. I think
right, not to that degree.
We'd look at him like... I'm trying to think of who the player is that puts up... And I don't want to use Wiggins because you just did, but the player who puts up numbers. But by the way, how fucking bad is this? You're showing the owner of the LA Rams in front of a bunch of seats with faded USC logos. I'm trying to think of who the player is that we all make fun of because they put up a bunch of hollow stats on a bad team.
Well,
that's who Kyrie would be, and that's Wiggins. But it's like
I can think of one right now, but it's not fair because he's in his second year and it's Trae Young.
But if Trae Young continues,
Trae Young's got 2 more years.
If Trae Young does this, continues to do this for 5 more years, that is what Kyrie would have been if LeBron never went to Cleveland.
I can't argue that. And I'm going to give, again, Trae Young in the East, you get 3 years to make the playoffs. You don't make the playoffs in 3 years, I'm going to start calling you the dude who just gets numbers. Because it seems like go to Oklahoma, that's what you were. You shouldn't have made the NCAA tournament. They put you in there because you were a show. And you got bounced pretty quick. But
remember when they lost 7 of 9 games or something in the middle of the season?
They weren't good. He was good. They weren't good. They were better with Buddy Hield than they ever were with him. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, again, it's his second year. He's 20 years old.
There was somebody else that I was just talking to someone about where it's I think he's an awesome player. Oh, Brandon Ingram, who it's I think he's an incredible player.
Talented.
I don't think anything he does is conducive to winning basketball games.
Other than put the ball in the basket. He doesn't do it. Well, I shouldn't say that. If Brandon Ingram's on the Lakers right now, he's probably making the All-Star team this year. And Kyle Kuzma, damn sure.
But if Brandon Ingram's on the Lakers right now, I don't know if he's getting the touches that he's getting in New Orleans that's letting him be this electric.
But you look at, he was playing damn good when he went out last year.
Yeah, he was. That's true.
Damn good. And he can score it. He can do, that is the thing with Brandon Ingram is he's probably just going to be a walking bucket. That's going to be his situation. And when you're a walking bucket, it's all about fit. You look at Lou Williams wasn't anything in Philly. He was putting the ball in the basket, but he gets to Toronto, they give him a fit, wins 6th Man of the Year. Gets to Houston, LA, the other LA, give him a fit. He knows what he's doing. He wins. When you're a walking bucket, you need to just be told, go score, and then come back to the bench.
All right, that's all the time we got. We went the full 90. Apologies, but that's the Monday mashup.
It's okay. There was an ad in there.
We'll see you next week.
Later.